Let's welcome in Brian Geltzeiler. What's going on, Brian? How you doing?
I'm doing great, guys. How we doing?
All right. We're doing well. Let's tie up some loose ends from the offseason. And first, I'm going to start with Steph Curry. Warriors didn't do anything in the offseason except draft Lendeborg. August 29th, he's eligible for an extension. I wouldn't say there's rumblings out here, but you know, he says he's realistic about what's going to happen next year. But how do the Warriors and Curry kind of resolve this and it benefit everybody?
It's not easy, and it's not easy on a variety of levels. First of all, Steph Curry has to make a decision here, Matt, and that's got to be, have I done what I can do in terms of competing for a championship? And I had 6 finals appearances, 4 championship wins, you know, a finals MVP, like all those things. Am I fine with that right now? And is it more important to me to spend my entire career with one organization? And if he makes that determination, then he should work with the Warriors on a contract a little bit so they have some flexibility in a Jalen Brunson style. Now, he could certainly go the other way and say, hey, listen, I brought what I brought here, 6 finals appearances, 4 titles, a couple MVPs, finals MVP, pay me. And if I'm the Warriors, I probably have to do that. With all that said, I think there's a Warriors side of this as well because, listen, we've heard the reports that the Warriors had an opportunity to get Jaylen Brown if they were willing to put 4 first-round picks in the deal, and they were not. And that tells you that they're not necessarily willing to sacrifice their future. But if they're truly leaning into their future, don't you have to kick the tires a little bit and just have a knowledge of what you could get in the open market for Steph Curry? To me, it's about due diligence. So I do think there's 2 sides of this coin and multiple layers. Okay, do the 2 sides want to be together anymore? And then if they do want to be together, do they agree on the right kind of number that works for both sides?
BG, last time we talked, my spirits were a lot higher than they are now when it comes to basketball. And, LeBron James opted out of left L.A. I thought that wasn't going to happen. And BG, I knew he was not coming here. And then I thought he was coming here with all the internet stuff. And I just got to ask you, because I'm disappointed, did you once think that, you know what, he might choose Golden State? Because me, along with a lot of fans, thought he might come here. But, man, he didn't, and he went to Philly.
I will say this, Darryl. I thought the longer it went on, the less chance the Warriors had. Because ultimately the Warriors' appeal was that he would get to be close to where his family is. The thoughts of the Warriors mortgaging their future to try to put a better team around LeBron James were not something they were going to do. We know that from the Jaylen Brown talks. There were reports regarding Anthony Davis that Washington asked for a significant price tag. The Warriors balked. They did not want to do that either. So when you look at all those things together, if LeBron came to the Warriors, did it make him a contender in the West? Did it make them, as good as OKC or San Antonio? Did it even make them better than Denver and Minnesota? The answer is probably not. So, as time went on, you did realize LeBron was weighing a lot more things, and it wasn't a simple decision. And the more complicated the decision got, the harder I thought it would be for the Warriors to be able to bring him in. So, yeah, it's got to be disappointing for Warriors fans. Having LeBron and Curry together would have been an absolute blast to watch. But I also think the Warriors didn't necessarily make this situation as attractive to LeBron James as a team like Philly did by having the Jaylen Brown deal fall in their lap in the form that it did.
Yeah, Brian Geltzeiler joining us on 95.7 The Game, Sirius XM NBA Radio. Yeah, I mean, I kind of, we can lose this, but I was kind of thinking LeBron must have changed his mind because on the first day of free agency, there's no way he was thinking Philly, right?
No, absolutely. Listen, LeBron, people thought LeBron was taking his time on this whole decision for the purpose of attracting attention and wanting to create buzz. I don't think it was about that. I never thought it was about that. LeBron was watching what teams were doing. understood that he always had the option to take a minimum if the situation became that appealing to him. And again, teams, you had a situation where Draymond opted out of his deal, so if they needed to pay LeBron more than the minimum, they had money available. James Harden opted out of his deal in Cleveland for the same reason. So if they needed to pay LeBron, they had more than the minimum to pay him. So it's when you look at those things, and that money ended up not being something that factored in at all. So you kind of see where he went there. He was looking for the best basketball situation. And I'm telling you right now, guys, if the Sixers don't trade for Jaylen Brown, we're having a conversation likely today about LeBron James being on the Miami Heat.
Wow.
I believe that in my heart of hearts, that the Jaylen Brown trade is what absolutely put it over the hump. Because here's the thing about having LeBron on your team, and it's also what made the Warriors almost a non-starter under this set of criteria. Jaylen Brown is a regular season wins monster. Go look at his career. Every year, the Celtics teams that he were on won enormous amounts of games in the regular season. This past season, without Jason Tatum most of the season, they won 56 games. If the Sixers are going to have success in the playoffs, it's going to be because they play the long game with both LeBron James and Joel Embiid. And if you have a guy like Jaylen Brown paired with a guy like Tyrese Maxey, who is proven to be able to handle enormous levels of regular season minutes and have a lot of usage and do it successfully, if you have that together, there's games that LeBron can sit. There's games Embiid can sit, and the Sixers will still be winning games. And the thing is, LeBron doesn't want to go to a team that's going to be a 7th seed. He understands how hard that is to be able to come out of the playoffs. He gets that, to be able to come out and win multiple rounds coming from a 7th seed or an 8th seed as a play-in. With the Sixers, he can play 45 to 50 games, and with that group, they have a chance to win 55 games and then play 45 to 50 games and be a 2-seed or a 3-seed and have a legit chance to go to the finals. Like, to me, that played an enormous role. Who Jaylen Brown has been in the regular season, who Tyrese Maxey has been in the regular season, it affords the Sixers, LeBron, and Joel Embiid some wiggle room on resting these guys when it's convenient or when their bodies are feeling banged up.
Wow. Good stuff, BG. Hey, you brought up Draymond Green, and my partner thinks this might be his last year in Golden State, and I was shocked once he opted out. I understood why, trying to, get LeBron James, but I told him, I said, Stein, he's coming back for multiple years. He'll ride off into sunset with Steph, and I was shocked, BG, that he came back on a 1-year deal without a player option. When I say Draymond Green and his future with the Warriors, what comes to mind to you?
That it may or may not exist. There's a trade kicker in there too, guys. And I believe, if I'm correct, he could have had a no trade with it and decided to not take a no trade.
Yeah.
So so you look at the 1-year deal, and what Draymond is looking for with that 1-year deal, it's not necessarily an escape hatch from Steph. Maybe it's an escape hatch with Steph. If Steph decides he wants to go, Draymond wants to be able to get out and go play somewhere else. And by the way, the trade kicker gives him a couple extra bucks to do that. It's kind of a little bit of a favor from the Warriors because he did opt out and try to help them with LeBron. So if they end up moving him, everybody kind of benefits there. So the thing is this, I don't think they're going to push to move Draymond out. I don't think there's going to be enough value there in the open market. I don't think they look to push Draymond out if Steph's not going anywhere. But if they do decide that, whether it's the Warriors or Steph or both sides decide that they're going to part ways for Draymond, listen, I don't think Draymond Green wants to play on the Warriors without Steph Curry. So if ultimately that's what happens with Curry, now he has his own escape hatch.
Brian Geltzeiler joining us on 95.7, The Game, Sirius XM, NBA Radio. I got to ask you about Jimmy Butler and his situation. So he's on the last year of a big money deal that the Warriors gave him. He's going to miss, let's just say, a little over half the season. So he's going to have to come back at the end of the year without any guarantees for the following year, which I think's, a little risky. If he does something wrong, his career might be over. By the same token, I don't know that the Warriors can extend him at the eligible point, not having seen him play. I think playing at the end of the season for Jimmy Butler to prove that he's healthy is a touch overstated. What happens with Jimmy Butler?
Well, I could start you with this, Matt. I know for a fact he is working his backside off to try to get back as early as possible. Jimmy Butler, throughout the course of his career, has had a unique understanding of leverage in contract negotiations.
Right.
And he's used every bit of leverage that he could when it worked to his advantage. He certainly did it in Minnesota to get himself out there when he wanted to. He definitely did it in Chicago, just did it in Miami. Here's the problem for Jimmy Butler right now. He's got no leverage. As long as he's hurt at his age right now, he has got no leverage to try to work an extension out. So for him, it makes sense. Get yourself back as quickly as possible, put up some numbers in a short amount of time, and then sell yourself off in the offseason to the highest bidder. And if it happens to be the Warriors, great. The Warriors may want to go in a different direction. And I think for the Warriors right now, you don't even make them a contract offer. You don't even offer them a value extension. Because the thing is again, if this whole thing's going to blow up, you want to say goodbye to him. And I don't know that he has, besides the value of an expiring contract, he doesn't have a lot of on-court value right now because no one knows when he's going to be back and no one knows what he's going to look like after this injury. Now, listen, Butler has always proven to be a guy that works very hard on his conditioning. He is a maniacal hard worker. He really is. And I don't have any doubt that he'll be the best form that he can be. But we know this guy's 5 times undefeated. So it's going to be hard-pressed to believe he comes back at the exact same level. With that said, he's still going to have value as an NBA player. And it wouldn't surprise me if maybe there is a kind of a one-year deal at a reduced number agreed to if Curry and Draymond stay around. That gives Butler ability to have a make-good type of thing that he could show other teams what he can do when it works for both sides. They may come to some kind of agreement, but the one thing I'll tell you, this injury is going to, I think, most likely keep any of Jimmy Butler's previous contract extension shenanigans that he's always engaged in. I think he's not going to be able to do that here.
BG, let me ask you about the youngster they drafted, Yaxo Lindeborg, and we saw him in training camp, and a lot of times rookies get drafted and there's a log jam, but with the construction of this Warrior roster, the injuries, wouldn't you say, is it too far-fetched that he's in a perfect situation to have an imprint early?
I totally agree. I love the draft pick, and one of the reasons I love the draft pick is I think this guy was a top 6, top 7 talent in this draft. And the reason that he fell to number 11 for the Warriors was because he's 24 years old. And that generally gets held against guys the older they are when they come in the league. Now, again, that trend's easing up a little bit. And a lot of that's based upon analytics, which kind of are biased in this situation because normally the guys that come out the youngest are the most talented. So they say the analytics are better on guys that come out younger and use that against older players. There's an inherent bias there because of that talent gap, over a big sample size. With all that said, this kid can play. He is really, really good. What you saw in the Summer League is what you're going to see in the regular season. He's got a well-rounded game. He fits this group very well. So the Warriors are better than they were last year in a conference that's gotten weaker because I think Lindeborg walks in day one, starts, and averages 18 to 20 points a game. I really do, and manages to fit into this system very well. I think there's so many good things about him. And for the Warriors, when you have a kid like this, and you're not sure what your future holds, he's a reason that you hold picks so you can use him as a building block and go get other players and not trade first-round picks for another to try to squeeze into another 2-3 year window and compete with two much younger teams in OKC and San Antonio that are going to be really, really hard to overcome as their young guys hit their prime.